is everywhere.
No, I think that's
And we would love you to read along with us. Page 592 at the bottom. Treasure house idea, so he echoes the themes of the Bible.
You're into the Bible a lot more lately than you used to be.
Well, after I studied the course, I felt guided to study the Bible.
A whole year of studying the Bible.
I took more than 1 year. I took quite a lot of time. And I didn't know why I was being guided to study it. In fact, I said, what do I have to do this for? I don't think I like this book. This book talks about killing and God's vengeance and all kinds of, I was like, I don't want to read this book. Maybe the New Testament, but I definitely don't want to read the Old Testament. But I just felt really guided to do it, so I started watching some of those TV shows where they studied the Bible. It took me quite a few years, but I studied it, and I started to see why I was directed to eventually. Studying the Bible helped me understand this so much better, because I understood some of the themes. It's like you picked up a book, this book, when there was this is the sequel, and I didn't know the themes. I didn't know the Bible enough to know some of these stories. I didn't go to church when I was a child. My mother didn't take us to church, so I didn't know the Bible. I didn't know the stories. And he's talking about Bible themes all the time, so I was clueless what he was talking about. I was having a hard enough time, and then so I realized I needed that Bible stuff to understand this. Plus, I needed to see how this is a continuation of the message of the Bible as it was originally. Let's say a continuation of the parts of the Bible that are true and that are being interpreted right. It isn't a continuation of the Bible in its form because it's been misinterpreted and translated through. Plus, the interpretations on top of that are so widely divergent. When you think about the fact that there are all these different denominations that think completely different things and they're supposedly all reading the same book. I can't rely on the interpretations and you can't really rely on the form. But the Spirit can guide you to the sections that are the truth if that's what you're looking for. And that's why I think people get a lot of comfort from the Bible. And so that's why I bring it in just to say, this is a truth that's been around for a long time. This isn't some new idea that just showed up. God has been trying to reach us, to wake us up since time began, in whatever form he could get to us. And this just happens to be one of the newer forms. But we're assured a new form. There will be newer forms probably eventually, because it's a continual discussion and a continual trying to talk to us. In fact, sometimes when people say, the Bible says at the end of it that there's no more coming from God or something, it really meant the book of Revelation said that. That's one little book somebody wrote, and it was meant that little book. It didn't mean the whole Bible, because the Bible was put together by a lot of books. It wasn't talking about God stop stalking now. When you think about that, why would God stop speaking in written form to us 2,000 years ago when he had been talking for, what was it, 4,000 years, the Bible's span of time? Plus, I'm sure before then too, but that would be too archaic for us to have records of. And then all of a sudden, no more, done. Don't have anything to say. No, that can't be true.
I'm real grateful that you didn't have all that Bible study, especially fundamentals, before, because your mind was open to the course.
Yeah, that probably, I'm sure that helped.
When you did read the Bible, you saw it in its true light and in where it was screwed up and wasn't screwed
Yes,
up.
It made it easier.
Yeah, I think we wouldn't have been as far.
But one thing.
Having this class today,
right?
If at least it would have been another 10 years farther along the line.
No, the Bible really helped. Studying the Bible is so important. It also gave me more faith in the course, just to have it so confirmed down history. But again, another thing to remember in your guided path, he tells you to do things. The last thing you want to do. I'm telling you, it took a while for him to get through to me, and it was like eventually I realized he really wants me to do this. I do not want to do this. This is scaring me. I would read the passages and go, are you telling me this is true? I'm not sure how to read this. I'm not sure why I'm doing this. But I just kept doing it. And finally I realized, oh no, these are just stories. Half of them are written by people who didn't know what they were talking about. Some of them did. And you can, gradually I got it together. But remember.
And if you read the Lamb's Bible, it's much softer.
Yeah, there are different interpretation. Different Bible versions and everything.
Interpreted.
Yeah, the first one I read, I had a class. The class I was watching on TV was one of the really bad ones, really scary ones. So that was my first one. I'm like, there's some reason I'm watching this. But I don't think it's to learn about the vengeance of God. I just don't think that's it.
How did you deal with that vengeance of God?
Well, gradually I began to realize that I don't remember exactly. Well, of course explains that the ego mind thinks we deserve punishment. So every place in the Bible where it talks about that, that's when the ego got in there. But you see, within the same books, they'll say the opposite, that God is about mercy and love. So they're totally two totally different messages. They're in the same books. So what you start to realize is we're not being able to hold this message of God's love. And so this vengeance comes in from the ego mind, even as they're receiving this mercy. Remember how many times it talks about mercy and love and forgiveness from the very beginning of the Bible? Then it throws in all this other stuff. It's because even in our own lives, as we try to walk the course, our ego mind just gets in there and muddles up every little thing we try, doesn't it? So included in the Bible, there's lots of ego in there. But there's truth too.
And then the Course makes it real clear that we have a split mind and all that stuff in the Bible.
Yes.
There's ego stuff and then,
Yes.
so, but it's all mushed together for a long
Yes.
time. Yeah.
But the light and truth in all our minds can bring us to the sections of the Bible that inspire us to the love and mercy of God. And that's why people are inspired by the Bible even today.